story that you haven't found a way to tell yet, that you say, boy, there's a couple stories, or there's a story, I really want to tell this, I just haven't found a speech yet to put it out?
I'd have to really think about that. There are stories that I've told in the past that I don't tell very often. The tall tale that I just used in my own competition, I wrote 10 years ago and hadn't given it since 10 years ago until I resurrected it this year. And that's one of my favorite stories to tell. But I also like to talk about my grandfather, because he was a real inspiration to me. He journaled from the time he was about 20 back in the late 30s to the time of his death. And I would go into his office, and his walls were lined with shelves with notebooks of different eras, you know, the World War II era, the Reagan years, the Kennedy, and you could just go in and you could go to any individual day. And sometimes his journal would simply be the box score of the Cubs game. But he was dedicated to really chronicling his journey through life, and that's what's inspired me to journal myself, not as prolifically as he does, but to blog, and then to take it to another level and speak.
All right, we have another question. We have a couple.
Oh, following on that thread, as a professional speaker, you're called on to speak to many different audiences who have many different goals and needs. Do you have a wide repertoire of speeches, or do you tend to work from a core and then adapt to suit the needs of individual audiences?
I have maybe 3 speeches that I can give, but having a wide repertoire is more having a wide repertoire of stories.
Yeah.
Because if I'm speaking to an older audience, I'm going to have different stories than if I'm speaking to a bunch of high school kids.
Right.
If I'm speaking to a professional group, I'm going to use different stories than if I'm working with people who are trying to work for themselves. Well, I mean, they're both professional groups, but one's more corporate and one is more by your own bootstraps, and they need to hear different types of stories so they can receive the same message.
Okay.
I have another question. We were saying that when you speak in real life, I mean outside Toastmasters, what difference do you find the most important ones in terms of the audience, the topic, and you as a presenter or as a speaker in those environments that are non-Toastmasters?
Well, Toastmasters is a supremely supportive environment, and it's a place where you can go practice, a place where you can literally fall on your face, as Darren LaCroix did many years ago. You can fail, and it's okay. I can give that Abraham Lincoln speech that I tried in junior high in the same way, but I won't feel like I have to cry and leave the room, because Toastmasters aren't those types of people. There's also a different set of expectations in Toastmasters, because you're really there to work out as opposed to do the work. And then when you're in a contest, I compare speaking in a contest to figure skating, where you go and you have the sequined outfit and you're trying to hit your triple lutz, and you have to make sure you have your emotional music to hit all the points the judges are looking for. But in the real life, in the real world, if I go out and I do some of those things, the audience is going to be a little bit freaked out. They want something that is more real, more centered and balanced. And while you still use all the tools you use in Toastmasters, it's just not to that heightened degree that sometimes we expect from our speakers in our clubs and in our contests.
Don't take your finger skates to every interview. Yeah. We have another question from no?
Yes. Last night we talked about more experienced speakers and how they get to be at a plateau. And they think, well, what's next? I've done it all in Toastmasters. And you had some advice about going beyond the club.
Well, Marilyn asked about taking yourself beyond Toastmasters. And you take yourself beyond Toastmasters within Toastmasters. It's just a matter of how you choose to use the program, how you use your club and some of the books. Once you've been through the basic manual, it doesn't mean it's the last time you ever use that basic manual. There's so many opportunities to go back and give speeches. And if you're looking at writing a longer speech, say a keynote, 45-minute speech, that's nothing but a bunch of 5 to 7 minute speeches, really. And then when you sew them together with some transitions, you have a longer speech. So you can chunk down the longer speech you want to give and give it as part of redoing that Competent Communicator Manual, continue to help your club by earning the awards that you need, and practice in front of that supportive environment. You can use table topics as a mini gym and decide, no matter what the question is, I'm going to find a way to use the stage tonight. No matter what the question is, I'm going to focus on my vocal variety or my gestures. Just like going to the gym and saying, I'm going to work on legs today. I'm going to work on pecs today. So use table topics to your advantage. There are just a couple of several ways to really kind of game the Toastmaster system just enough to get what you need to get out of it. Because that's why we're here, is to get something out of it for ourselves, as long as when we do that, we're still making sure we give back to all the people around us.
It's an interesting analogy. A lot of us I have certainly called Toastmasters a laboratory. I think I'm going to start calling it a gym now. It's where you go to work out all the different communication and leadership muscles. And sometimes you get sore, and sometimes you overdo it and underdo it, and you learn your way. But one last thing, Rich, before we have Vicky come up and speak to you. I do want to show people your books, because these are available. Why don't you hold them up? And we've got a book about laughter, a book about the stories of 3 of the speakers in the World Championship speech. And how do people get your books?
You can go to Amazon.com, pick them up there. I sell this one on my website, richhopkins.com, and I think when I go home I'll put this one up on my website too, since I'm doing a TV interview about it.
Well, Rich, I want to bring up Vicky Moskowitz, who wants to thank you from the district and have a closing bit with you. Vicky.
Thank you. Rich, on behalf of District 60 Toastmasters, and especially on behalf of everyone in this room, who I think we had a great interview with you here in our kitchen, that you were so flexible with us, with our conference, with having us pick you up in picked you up in Buffalo, we drove you to Niagara Falls, we had the buffet, and we have history now.
Absolutely.
We really do, and I just want to thank you for your patience. Thank you for all your contributions. Thank you for being such a great sport at the karaoke event. I don't think anybody knows what else you do except that you were a great judge at the karaoke. But all kidding aside, all the best in your future endeavors, and all the best for your family, and we wish you great success for now and forever. And if you do become the world champion, you come back and see us, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, so is our bet settled? We had a bet going on, it's a long story, but is it settled?
Our bet is settled.
So we'll shake hands. It's settled. Thank you, and I'd like to bring back Matthew Konoski and just thank you for all of your District 60 TV interviewing. You did a wonderful job with the conference and with Rich. And for that, I'd like to close it and say, thanks everybody, reporting live from Vicky's Kitchen, District 60 Toastmasters.
Yeah, District 60 TV. Have a great day.
Have a good one.